Now, right on top is our quick access toolbar. Now, these are common tools which you would be using quite a lot. For example, the 3D view, the section tool, thin lines, and a whole lot more. We'll talk about this later. You can also add elements or remove elements from the quick access toolbar by going here. So you can customize your quick access toolbar. For now, we can leave it as is. And what's important for us is the ribbon window here. So this is where all your tools sit in Revit. And the tools are categorized as per discipline. So for example, you can see that we have the architecture tab. And under this architecture tab, we see only the architecture tools. Then we have the structure tab, where we see all the structure tools. We have the steel tab, where we can create steel elements and more. There's also precast. Now, systems is for the MEP discipline, where we'd like to create our ducts, our pipes, electrical connections, and a whole lot more. That sits under systems. Then we have a bunch of management tabs here. So under insert, you can insert Revit models, IOC files, CAD files. Now, there's a difference between linking files and importing files. We talk about that later as well. And that's very important to be aware of. In most cases, you would only be using linking, and this would also not increase the size of your model. So please be aware that in most cases, you will be only linking your files. In very few cases, we would be importing our files. For example, you would like to show some details in Revit, and you would like to tweak those details, make some changes, then you would need to import, for example, CAD files, and then you can change the lines and more. Now, annotate is what we use to document our projects and create high quality documentation. We can add measurements, we can add detail lines, we can add tags, and a whole lot more under annotation. Now, Revit is a very advanced software, so it also offers us options to create some energy reports, also add load points. So this will help us with the structural analysis. So all the analytical components sit under analyze, where you can analyze your model and create energy reports, structural reports, and a whole lot more. You can also link, for example, your structural model with robot structural analysis, and you can switch between the two softwares while doing your structural analysis. There's also more options here. For example, we have an option to create an energy model. We'll talk about these options later as well. Now, massing inside is what we use for landscape modeling. In the newer versions, we have something called TopoSolid, which gives us the option to create the site and also create our streets and a whole lot more. The newer versions, Revit has also enabled us to add negative offsets to our TopoSolid. So we'll talk about this later as well. Now, collaborate is very interesting. This is where you can collaborate with other team members and work together on a single project. You'll need to work with work sets first. You'll need to divide your project with work sets. And then we can, of course, copy monitor a model. We can split our models into different disciplines and learn how to coordinate our models. So all this and more happens under collaborate, where you get to collaborate with each other on a single model. Now, view tab is where you can create new plan views, elevation views, section views, 3D views, and a whole lot more. You can also hide and unhide elements. You can use something called the visibility graphics, which we are going to use quite a lot in our course. The shortcut is VV. So that's the first shortcut you generally learn as well in Revit. So the visibility graphics is something we're going to use quite a lot. And all the view elements where you want to manage your views stays under the view tab. Now, manage is where we get to manage the project. This would also be used quite often by the BIM manager, where you can set the line settings, the line weights. You can manage the materials, the object styles. You can manage the links, which models are linked to this project, and a whole lot more. There's also a few advanced options like design options and phases. So we'll talk about these later as well. Now, add-ins is where all your additional plugins sit. So when you install a plugin, it sits under add-ins, or it comes in as a new tab as well. Now, modify is very interesting. So the modify tab automatically shows up when you select an element. So let me go to architecture here and let me select, for example, this elevation symbol. So you can notice that as soon as I selected this symbol, the modify tab shows up here with the modify elements, which are, for example, move, copy, rotate, align, and a whole lot more. You can also copy paste. So we'll talk about these later as well. So what's important to be aware of is when you want to access the modify tab, rather than accessing it from here, you can always select an element and then it automatically shows up on top here.